Hey, this is Nick. Welcome to Chapter 9 of American Traditional. You've seen Leo's side, the choices, the arrogance, the fallout he left behind. Today it shifts. Sarah's voice, her second time speaking in the story. Courtroom, plea, sentence, the walk to county, the strip search, the bunk, the Bible through plexiglass. Day 1 of 365. Counting forward because counting down would break her. The rage, the quiet survival. The woman who runs the pod and the threat she carries. This is where the cost lands hardest. Not in the arrest, in the days that follow. Love that redeems doesn't always look like rescue. Sometimes it looks like a father pressing his hand to glass. A book carried in. A promise kept. Sarah's holding on to the only light she has left. Listen close. This one's heavy. Full chapters drop every Wednesday. If you're new, start at the beginning. Link in description or bio. Let's get into it.
Chapter 9, Day 1. The courtroom smelled like floor polish and the particular despair of people waiting for their lives to be decided by strangers in robes. Sarah sat at the defense table in street clothes, the black dress her public defender had told her to wear because it looked respectful and remorseful. It fit wrong now. The weakened holding had hollowed her out, made the fabric hang loose. Her lawyer was young, overworked, carrying a briefcase stuffed with folders for a dozen other clients she'd see today. She'd met with Sarah twice. 20 minutes total. The math was simple. Plea out or risk trial. Personal use plus unlucky proximity to Leo's guns could become conspiracy if the prosecutor wanted it to. 5 years federal versus 1 year county. The choice wasn't really a choice. The judge was a woman in her 60s with steel gray hair and eyes that had seen this exact scene 1,000 times. She read the charges without inflection. Possession with intent to distribute. The intent part was fiction, but fighting it would cost money Sarah didn't have, and risk years she couldn't afford.
Miss Flem, do you understand the terms of the plea agreement?
Yes, Your Honor.
Sarah's voice came out steadier than she felt.
And you enter this plea freely and voluntarily?
Freely, the word was a joke, but Sarah said,
Yes, Your Honor.
Very well. I hereby sentence you to 365 days in the Kent County Jail with credit for time served. Sentence to begin immediately.
365 days, 1 year, exactly 1 year. The gavel came down. The sound was small but absolute. The bailiff approached with handcuffs. Sarah stood, put her hands behind her back. The metal was cold. The click was final. She didn't look at the gallery, didn't search for her father's face even though she knew he was there. Couldn't bear to see his disappointment made flesh. They let her out through the side door, down the corridor that connected the courthouse to the jail. The dress she'd worn for respectability got folded into a plastic bag. The underwear, the bra, everything went into evidence bags like she was a crime scene. She stood naked in a cold room while a corrections officer checked her for contraband, told her to squat and cough, performed the ritual humiliation that was just procedure here. Orange jumpsuit, too big. Coarse synthetic fabric that itched immediately. Slip-on canvas shoes with no laces. The officer took her glasses. Sarah's hands reached for them instinctively, panicked.
Plastic frames.
Sarah said.
They're not.
Potential weapon.
The CO said. Not unkind, just stating fact.
You can request a pair from medical. Takes about a week.
A week. Sarah's vision blurred immediately. The world reduced to shapes and colors beyond arm's reach. The officer became an orange-vested blob. The hallway a tunnel of uncertain dimensions. They processed her into B-pod. Medium security. The noise hit her like a physical wall. Women shouting, metal doors clanging, a television blaring Spanish-language news, guards barking orders. The smell was bleach and bodies and institutional food, and something underneath it all that Sarah couldn't name but recognized as despair. She was assigned to a cell on the second tier. Bunk bed, steel toilet sink combo, another woman already occupying the top bunk. The woman didn't introduce herself, just watched Sarah with bored curiosity as she climbed onto the lower bunk and sat with her knees pulled to her chest. The thin mattress smelled like industrial cleaner and old sweat. Sarah's body was rigid, every muscle tight. She couldn't see clearly enough to know if people were watching her, couldn't read expressions, couldn't assess threats. Just shapes moving in the periphery, voices without faces. Day 1. Day 1 of 365. Sarah closed her useless eyes and began counting forward. On day 3, her father came to visit. The visitation room was separated by thick plexiglass. Sarah sat in a plastic chair on one side, her father on the other. She could see him better up close, his face drawn, aged 10 years and 3 weeks, his eyes red-rimmed behind his wireframe glasses. He picked up the phone on his side. Sarah picked up hers.
"Baby girl,"
He said, his voice cracking.
Dad.
Sarah's throat was so tight she could barely speak. They sat in silence for a moment, just looking at each other through the glass. Sarah could see him taking inventory, the jumpsuit, the absence of her glasses, the way her messy, curly black hair had gone unwashed for days, and now framed her pale face in a wild tangle.
"I brought something."
He said. He held up a book. Worn leather cover, pages soft from decades of handling. His Bible, the one he'd carried since before she was born.
"They'll have to process it.
He continued.
Screen it. Make sure there's nothing hidden in the binding, but they said they'll get it to you in a few days."
He opened the cover, showed her the inscription on the first page. His handwriting, precise, engineer's script. Sarah couldn't read it from this distance without her glasses, but she knew what it said. He'd shown it to her once, years ago, told her it was meant for someone special.
"For Sarah,
He read aloud, his voice thick.
the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" Psalm 27 verse 1. May you find strength in these words when I cannot give it to you myself. All my love, Dad.
Sarah's vision was blurry even beyond the lack of glasses now. She pressed her free hand against the plexiglass. Her father pressed his hand against the other side, palm to palm through the barrier.
I'm sorry.
Sarah whispered.
No,
Her father's voice was firm despite the tears.
you survive. That's all that matters. You survive this year. You come home. That's all I ask.
They talked for 30 minutes about nothing, about everything, about the outside world that felt impossibly far away. When visiting hours ended, her father stood slowly, reluctantly.
I'll come back next week,
He said.
and the week after. Every week until you're out, I promise.
Sarah watched him walk away, his shoulders bent under invisible weight. Day 3, 362 to go. The Bible arrived on day 8. A CO brought it to her cell after morning count, dropped it on her bunk without ceremony. Sarah picked it up with shaking hands. The leather was warm from his hands, the pages soft and familiar. She opened to the inscription, traced her father's handwriting with her fingertip. That night she read Psalm 27 by the dim light of the cell. Read it again and again. The words became a rhythm, a prayer, a counting mechanism that went deeper than numbers. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Day 8, 357 to go. On day 10, medical finally gave her glasses. Cheap plastic frames, thick lenses, not as strong as her prescription, but better than blindness. The world snapped back into focus. She could see faces now, could read the danger in women's eyes, the hierarchy in how they moved through the common area, the invisible lines that divided territory. She'd been moved to C-Pod on day 7, minimum security, supposedly safer. But Sarah was learning that safe was relative here. There were women who'd killed people, women who'd survived things Sarah couldn't imagine, women who looked at her, soft, educated, middle class, and saw prey. Sarah kept her head down, read her Bible, stayed in her cell except for meals and required programs. The counting continued. Each morning she woke and calculated the days remaining. Each night she fell asleep, repeating the number like a mantra. Day 10, 355 to go. On day 20, Sarah met Claire. The program was called Life Skills, but it was really just busy work, teaching women how to write resumes and fill out job applications for positions they'd never get with felony records. Sarah sat in the back of the classroom, her Bible on the desk beside her notebook. The woman next to her was older, maybe late 40s, with graying blonde hair pulled back in a ponytail and lines around her eyes that spoke of hard years. She was coughing, deep, rattling coughs that shook her whole body.
You okay?
Sarah asked quietly. The woman wiped her mouth with the back of her hand.
TB, probably. They won't test me properly. Say it's just a cold.
She coughed again.
Claire.
Sarah.
I know. Saw you come in 3 weeks ago. You're the one with the Bible.
Sarah touched the book on her desk.
My father gave it to me.
Must be nice, having a father who cares.
Claire's voice was bitter, but not unkind.
Mine died when I was 12. State raised me after that.
They sat in silence for a moment, the instructor droning on about cover letter formatting.
You pray?
Claire asked suddenly.
I'm trying to learn how.
Yeah.
Claire coughed again.
Me too. Trying to learn a lot of things in here, like how to survive a year without losing your mind. How long do you have?
8 months. In for parole violation. 3rd strike. They don't fuck around with 3rd strikes.
She looked at Sarah.
You?
345 days. Possession.
Your man a dealer?
Sarah hesitated, then nodded.
Tattoo artist. Had guns in his shop. I was there when they raided.
That's fucked up.
Claire's expression softened.
But you're surviving. That counts for something.
The instructor told them to partner up for an exercise. Sarah and Claire worked together, filling out mock applications for jobs neither of them would ever get. It was absurd, but it was also human connection, a lifeline in the isolation. When the class ended, Claire stood slowly, her movements careful.
We're in C17 together.
She said,
Your cell is 3 down from mine. If you need anything, if shit gets real, you come find me. Okay?
Sarah nodded.
Okay.
Day 20, 345 to go. And now she had one person in this place who might have her back. On day 23, Raina found her. Sarah was in the common area, sitting at a table in the corner, reading her Bible. She'd learned to position herself where she could see both entrances, where her back was against the wall. Basic survival instinct developing. The woman who approached was in her early 30s, muscular, with her brown hair pulled back tight and tattoos covering both forearms. She moved with the confidence of someone who owned the space. 2 other women flanked her, lieutenants, enforcers, whatever they were called here. Raina sat down across from Sarah without asking. The other women remained standing.
You're Sarah.
Raina said, not a question.
Yes.
Your man's a tattoo artist.
Sarah's stomach went cold.
Was.
Eclipse Inc., Ionia Avenue.
Raina leaned back in her chair.
I know Eclipse. My cousin went there. Got a shitty piece from some kid who couldn't draw. Your man do that work?
I don't know.
Sarah's voice was steady despite the fear.
I didn't work there.
But you know the place got raided. Know your man had guns. Know you're in here because of his fuck-up.
Raina's eyes were flat.
That's a lot of collateral damage. Makes me wonder what else you know. What else you saw.
Nothing. I don't know anything.
Sure.
Raina tapped her fingers on the table. Slow, deliberate.
Here's the thing. C-Pod is my territory. Has been for 3 years. I keep things running smooth. No drama, no violence, no problems. Everyone gets along because I say they get along. Understand?
Sarah nodded.
Good. So here's how this works. You keep your head down. You don't cause trouble. You don't talk to COs about things that don't concern you. You respect the hierarchy. And maybe you survive your year without complications.
Raina leaned forward.
But if you fuck up, if you break the rules, if you become a problem, then your year gets a lot harder, a lot longer, a lot more painful.
She stood. Her lieutenants moved with her.
You've got a year. That's not long, but a lot can happen in a year. Things can get easier, or they can get hard.
The threat was clear even though the words were vague. Sarah held Raina's gaze for 3 seconds, enough to show she wasn't prey, not long enough to challenge. Then she looked back at her Bible. Raina straightened, satisfied.
Welcome to C-Pod, Sarah.
She walked away, her lieutenants following. The common area seemed to exhale, noise returning gradually. Sarah's hands were shaking. She pressed them flat against the Bible until they stopped. Day 23, 342 days to go. She could do this. She had to do this. There was no other choice. Sarah closed the Bible, held it against her chest, and began counting again.